Buckle up, folks, because the US-Canada trade war just went nuclear. The orange fascist terrorist just dropped a 50% tariff bomb on Canadian goods, everything from hockey sticks to cement. And things are getting personal now. So today I'm pulling back the curtain on this developing story so you can get a better look what's really going on. I will do this into 4 sections. First, the escalation. What's actually in those new tariffs and why the White House dusted off a Depression-era law from 1930s to do it. Second, the real agenda. Spoiler alert, even Trump admits this isn't really about dairy and cars. There's a much bigger game being played here. It involves economic dominance and some pretty wild talk about the 51st state. Third, Canada's response, how Carney is fighting back. And fourth, what we do now, the grassroots actions that matters. Let's get right into it. So here's the situation. On July 19th, Trump signed 3 proclamations slapping 50% tariffs on nearly 20 billion of Canadian imports. We're talking wine, hockey sticks, cement, dairy, furniture, swimming pools, even wigs. You wonder. And get this, they are using Section 338 of the Tariff Act of 1930 to justify it. That's a law that's been gathering dust for almost a century and has never been used like this before. Trade lawyers are already calling it a massive overreach and most likely illegal. But what's new, eh? It's Trump after all. The official excuse, Canada is supposedly discriminating against US cars, alcohol and dairy. But here's what makes the whole thing very telling. They are specifically exempt energy, potash, critical mineral and fish. Why? Because Trump's America depends on those Canadian resources and can't afford to tax them. So much for principled trade policies, right? But let's be honest. Trump's official story is just a smokescreen. First off, the Trump administration is running low on cash. Again, what's new? How many Trump bankruptcies? 6? The Iran conflict and domestic policies have drained the war chest, and tariffs are just another way to squeeze money out of American consumers. Because who pays for those tariffs? Well, US importers pass on the cost straight to American families. That's who pays for it. Economists have been screaming this from the rooftops for years. Second, and this is where it gets really serious, this isn't just about trade. The administration has openly talked about nullifying the border treaty and pushing down our Canadian economy hard to make us more agreeable to becoming the 51st state or some other type of deep dependency. It's about economic and political dominance, plain and simple. They are trying to break our will, to fight back and force us into one-sided concessions. And check this out. Trump, who has nothing but humiliated himself on the world stage, publicly confronted Carney at the FIFA World Cup final days before this tariff announcement, blaming Canada for wildfire smoke drifting into US cities. That's not trade policy. That's personal grievance driving international relations. But here's the thing though, we are not rolling over. When Trudeau left in 2025, Trump expected that our new PM would be just another pushover. If it had been Poilievre, yeah, he would be right. But how wrong his expectation was. Canada elected Carney, and he established himself quickly on the world stage as the real leader, the skilled economist he is, and not a pushover. And now Carney has already blasted the orange morons' late tariff fever as a direct violation of the Kushma trade agreement and says Canada is prepared to challenge it. And get this, Canada is the only country besides China that actually had the guts to retaliate against Trump's earlier tariffs. And that's precisely why we are being targeted now. Because the poor Americans feel it is so unfair that Canada is not just played down when you get hit in the face, but pushed back. They complain that Carney looks for different, reliable trading partners. 10 provinces don't sell American alcohol anymore, and the cruel Canadian people don't buy American products and don't want to spend their money on vacationing in Trump America. The US Trade Representative even admitted it. Only 2 countries have chosen to retaliate, China and Canada, and therefore they are making an example out of us. But all that shows us that Carney's strategy of trade diversification is already paying off. And Trump's America is feeling the pain. Our exports to the US have dropped from historical levels of 75% down to about 68% of our total exports. We are building stronger ties with Europe, Asia, and even Saudi Arabia. And get this, Canada is now growing jobs at twice the rate of the US. So, Carney's administration is doing what he must do to protect Canada. But there is something we Canadians can do too. And it really has hit the American markets pretty darn good already. And you know what that is, right? That's hitting the American where it hurts. Our consumer boycott. When 8 provinces pulled US alcohol from their shelves, imports of American booze dropped by a staggering 81%. That's 582 million gone, just like that. And Canadian travel to the US is still down for 15 straight months. And I plead with you guys, please keep the boycott going. That's the best thing we can do to support our government. So, what's the path forward? Well, first, the legal challenge. Canada has strong grounds under Kushma, the WTO rules, and even US domestic courts to fight those tariffs. But the clock is ticking. Those tariffs take effect on August 19th, and legal battles take time. And second, we keep up the pressure. The boycott isn't just symbolic, it's effective. When Canadian consumers speak with their wallets, Washington noticed. Keep buying Canadian. Keep avoiding American travel. Keep supporting local businesses. Here I say it again. Please keep the boycott going. But let's be clear, there is also some sunlight on the horizon somewhere. Because the orange taco has changed his mind so many times on almost everything, including tariffs. It makes your head spin. So who knows, maybe next week the 50% tariffs are gone again. But if not, I hope Carney is pissed off enough so he accelerates his diversification effort even harder in the future. We can't be dependent on one trading partner that threatens to annex us every time he needs leverage. We're building relationships with Europe, India, and other markets to reduce vulnerability. Mexico is also standing with us, refusing to negotiate a bilateral deal that excludes Canada. The trilateral Kushma framework matters to them too. Those are the types of friends we need right now. So, where does this leave us? The Orange Idiots tariffs are a declaration of economic war against one of America's closest allies. The real goal isn't fair trade, it's dominance. And the exemptions of critical resources show just how much the US actually depends on Canada. Canada's response needs to be unified and strategic. Carney is leading the charge, but it's up to all of us, consumers, worker families, to back him up. Buy local, stay united, Don't give up the fight. And can you imagine, despite all this orange terror Canada has to endure? There are idiots that really put a 51st state sticker on their truck. What kind of Canadians are those people? So here's my question to you. Have you seen those 51st state stickers already? Thanks for watching. I'm Wilfried Lemkula with Europe Curious, where we don't just repeat the daily headlines, but open the curtain so you can see for yourself what's really behind it. See you in the next one.